Lots of people use and love tube screamer style pedals for all sorts of functions, from just sort of sculpting the EQ of their amp to using the tube screamer as the main source of distortion in their tone. This is what makes tube screamers a really good versatile pedal to have on your board. Now, tube screamers from the main companies, Ibanez and Maxon, they start anywhere kind of around $80 for the Ibanez Mini, and they go all the way up to about $250 for the TS808DX, and even about $300 for the Maxon Apex 808. Now, yeah, all of these really expensive tube screamer pedals, it can all be really overwhelming, and I'm sure those pedals do some fantastic things and have some great tones that less expensive tube screamers aren't gonna quite get for you. My name is Levi, and today I'm gonna explain why the BBE Green Screamer is the low-cost option you've never heard of that's perfect for you. The Green Screamer was designed as a vintage overdrive and is not a direct copy of the Maxon or the Ibanez circuits. Now, online, the general consensus seems to be that the Tube Screamer was a copy of the Ibanez TS9 or the TS808. I found multiple different sources saying either side, so kind of whichever one. It's either a TS9 or a TS808 depending who you're listening to. If you're more sort of electronically inclined than myself, here are some schematics from the Green Screamer, from the TS9, and from the TS808 if you want to actually compare the in-depth circuits of these and see which one it's more like. Now, obviously, I know the Green Screamer schematic looks different than the TS9 and the TS808, but that's really about the only Green Screamer circuit schematic I could really find online. Now, it was pretty difficult to find a release date for the Green Screamer, but using the Wayback Machine on BBEsound.com, I was able to at least locate April 2nd, 2006, showing that was the first sort of documented page on the Wayback Machine, showing the Green Screamer in this little form that we have right here. Now, this is the first design. There was an updated one with a little jet on it, a little jet screaming through the sky, I guess. Pretty cool design. Honestly, I like this one better myself though. That April 2nd, 2006 page stated, check them out following their 2006 Naaaah show debut, which would place their debut July 14th through the 16th in 2006 in Austin, Texas, according to Naaaah's website. The Green Screamer did gain some pretty good reviews through publications like Guitar World and various gear-related websites, and it gained a lot of really good feedback from users, giving it a lot of good reviews. But that being said, I never really see any of my favorite YouTubers talking about the little Green Screamer on their channels and how, you know, everybody needs to get a Tube Screamer, but they never really mention the Green Screamer as an option. The market in the scene is dominated by Maxon, Fortin, Ibanez, obviously, and you know, even JHS pedals with their Green Bonsai. Now, all of these guys dominate the scene for a very good reason, that being that they make some damn good pedals. But for somebody that's maybe on a budget, you know, you don't really necessarily want to spend $200, $250, $300 on a Tube Screamer. Now, yeah, there are like the $100 options out there from Ibanez, like the classic TS9, and there's also the Mini for $80. But some people, like myself, just have this affliction where I just cannot get what everybody else has. I just have to get the weird stuff. I don't like mini pedals. I don't know why. I just don't. So something like the BBE Green Screamer not only stands out as a good option because not everybody has this, but also because I'm cheap, and this is cheap. This retailed brand new, I think I found online for about $100 was its price, but you can find on Reverb, like right now, if I go over to Reverb, I'm seeing $60, $60, $55, $79, $66, $60, $79. A lot of 79s out there for very good. 70 for excellent, 60 for very good, 60 for good. That 55 is very good, and that's one of the ones with the little jet on it. So you can definitely find these as, you know, pretty inexpensive pedals. Now, probably the biggest factor on this for me with the price, at least in terms of recommending it, is that if you're willing to wait and you've got patience, one of these sold back in July of 2019 for a whopping, oh no, this is October 7th of 2020 actually, for a whopping $25. For $25, I mean, dude, you could ask for this for like just a casual gift from your girlfriend, boyfriend, anybody, really. 25 bucks, that's less than a tank of gas. Famous users of the Green Screamer include Gus G of Ozzy Osbourne and Jake Snyder of Minus the Bear. Now, Gus G actually liked the Green Screamer so much that when him and Blackstar released his little valve-driven, what was it called, HT Blackfire pedal, he was actually still using a Green Screamer in live performances. He actually liked this so much, he preferred it over his valve-driven one for live performances. Now, maybe it was because the valve's little tube, a little sensitive or something, and this is all solid state and it's built in a brick shit house of an enclosure, especially for a $25 pedal if you can get it for that. But I just thought that was really funny that even after Gus made his own pedal with Blackstar, he was still pulling this bad Johnny out on stage. Now, my history with the Green Screamer is I had a Dunlop Crybaby, just a really generic one. I never really used it. My dad told one of his guitar forum friends that I had this pedal that I never used, and this friend was like, hey, I want that. I'll trade you a Green Screamer for it. And I was like, Dad, distortion pedal? Yeah, cool. I didn't know anything about tube screamers. Sure, why not? And so we made the trade, and then I had a Green Screamer that I never used because I was using a PV Valve King with an EHX metal muff with top boost to get my sort of metal tone, because, you know, the tone wasn't really coming from the Valve King that I wanted, so I had the metal muff giving me the tone. And so obviously with that, I wasn't using a tube screamer. Now, I recently, this last year, maybe 2 years, can't remember how long ago, finally was able to get a PV6505, and that's really when I started using the tube screamer. I looked online and saw how everybody was saying, oh, it tightens up the low end, it gets rid of the flub, and that's, you know, it's like, well, I'll give it a shot. And so, you know, I was, of course, thinking, hey, gain pedal, let me turn the gain up on this. And so then I was getting a lot of feedback. I was like, this sounds terrible. And then finally I realized level 10, tone about 7, gain whopping 0. That's what you need for metal tone on top of a high gain amp to get that good tone. Now, once I figured that out, I was using this thing all the time, and any time that I ever turned my amp on, picked up my guitar, and accidentally didn't have my Green Screamer engaged, I almost said tube screamer there, it was instantly like, something is wrong, my amp's going out. And then I looked down at my pedal board, oop, nope, missing a blue light. My bad. Nowadays I am using a Palisades from Earthquaker devices because it's got a lot more functionality and it really is a great sounding pedal. I use it on the 808 sort of mode that they have on there, and it's you know, just a really great pedal. Now, that being said, I am not trying to say that the Green Screamer is the end all be all, this is the best pedal ever because Gus G of Ozzy used it even after he got his own signature pedal. I'm not trying to say that by any means. What I'm trying to say is, a lot of times we get stuck into the cycle of looking through reverb and looking at gear and looking at, oh, this tube screamer, that tube screamer, this boost pedal, that boost pedal, oh, and it can be overwhelming, and you're looking at them and you're like, this one's 90, this one's 120, this one's used for 150, I'm sure that's good. If you just need a boost pedal, just grab a Green Screamer. They're not expensive. You've really got nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, you get it, you don't like it, you maybe sell it for what you paid for it. Maybe a $10 loss to experiment with it. Or if you're like me, you can just hoard it and have it in a shelf on your wall right now. So yeah, anyways, I just wanted to share why I think the Green Screamer is a great pedal, because I know it doesn't really get much love anywhere these days. And so yeah, with that out of the way, here are some playing demos of it, just recorded from my Valve King, from my 6505 with a mic draped over the front into FL Studio with minimal EQing done. Alright, so for the tone demo of the BBE Green Screamer, you can see I'm joined here by my lovely dog Astro. She likes to listen to guitar too. I've got my Gibson SG Modern. This has the stock Gibson Alnico Pro 5 humbuckers in it. So this is a passive pickup guitar. It's tuned to drop D. Something that you're going to find with a lot of, just a very common sort of setup. Passive pickups, drop D. I've also got EMG and drop C that we'll get to in a minute. But so, yeah, I mostly play heavy stuff. Let's just start off with a demo with the pedal not engaged. So let's go ahead and just click it off right there. And... so yeah, like you can really hear in there, there's really a lot of that unwanted sort of dirty flub in the low end. And let's just go ahead and kick the Green Screamer on and see how it sounds. I don't know about you, but I think that sounds a million times better. Let's just do some real simple... just some simple D chugs with the pedal off, and then we'll click it on and off and on and off so you can see really how it sounds up against itself. You can really hear that it really tightens up that flub in the low end and makes it a lot more of a modern sound. Despite this pedal being from 2006, I think honestly it still sounds pretty damn good. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, my current pedal these days is the Earthquaker Devices Palisades. It's just a lot more functional. It's got really good sound to it. It sounds really aggressive. So let's go ahead and compare the Palisades to the Green Screamer and see how those two sound together, so that way you can kind of see how it stacks up against a more modern pedal. Starting off with neither pedal on here. Palisades. So honestly, I think the Palisades has a little bit more of an aggressive tone, but that's really what I expect. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the Green Screamer is either a TS9 or a TS808 clone, conflicting sources on both, and BBE just calls it a vintage overdrive. You know, if any electricians are watching this, look at the schematic, let me know in the comments. But so let's see if we can get that Green Screamer to sound more like the Palisade. So let's just start twisting some knobs here, shall we? So obviously I had to dial the tone up pretty far on the Green Screamer. It's up to about 9.5. Yeah, there's 10 right there. I only had a little bit of wiggle room there. And the tone on the Palisades is only at about a maybe a 1:30, 2 o'clock position. So the Palisades has a lot more functionality with it, and also it does have the bright switch is engaged and the buffer is on, I think is what the position the right means. Both these little knobs are to the right. Now I'm not going to touch gain B or the boost because I want it to be more of a one-to-one fair comparison with the Green Screamer. Let's go ahead and shift gears and go into drop C. All right, so here I've got my Epiphone Prophecy SG. It's got the very common combo of EMG 81 and 85 pickups in it. So again, this is going to be a very common drop C, very common sort of setup that you can expect. So let's again just start with the Green Screamer and compare it off to on. Again, really hear that it really tightens up the flub in that low end, and that's really what I'm just trying to get out with this thing. I mean, it's a really great sounding pedal for the price. You really can't go wrong with it, especially if you just need something to serve you as a boost pedal, and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money because you blew your wallet on your new amp. Been there. But anyways, I think that's going to pretty much conclude this video. I don't need to drag on forever. I mean, you've seen tube screamers before. I just wanted to point this one out to you, show you why I appreciate this pedal, even though it's now in my collection and not on the board so much anymore. But one thing to point out, that the background songs that you've been hearing, recorded both of them with the BBE Green Screamer. Now, obviously, I'm not a recording engineer. It doesn't sound as good as if somebody who knew what they were doing recorded it, but point being, it sounds good enough to record with. I mean, hell, if it's good enough for Gus G to record with and play live, I think it's good enough for you and me. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you think there's something I can do better, let me know. If you liked it, leave a thumbs up. If you disliked it, leave a thumbs down and get out of here. Subscribe if you like it and want to see more of this stuff. And yeah, I will see all of you in the next episode. Peace.